Hi, I'm Gary Stearman, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you a good friend of Prophecy Watchers, Avi Lipkin. Avi, it's a wonderful thing to have you here today.
Great to be back.
And I'll tell you why, because I just always feel like I'm in the presence of somebody who's got an inexhaustible supply of information about the Middle East. I ask him questions, he has the answers. Avi Lipkin. In fact, in our November Prophecy Watcher, we have an article by Avi Lipkin, and it's entitled, "What Are the Russians Really Doing in Syria?" What are the Russians really doing in Syria? This is an amazing thing that's happening right before our very eyes.
Yes, well, we have just taped 2 programs about ISIS, which will be aired pretty soon. But one of the problems here is that ISIS is comprised of up to 50,000 foreign soldiers that came from all over the world to fight in the ranks of ISIS. A lot of these foreign soldiers are from Russia, Muslims from Russia. The Muslims of Russia do not like the Russian people or the Russian government. The Russian people, for example, in 1854, during the Crimean War, 1853, 1856, the Tsarist army of Russia killed 3 million Circassian Muslims. Many of these who survived fled to Turkey, and then they were stationed by the Sultan of Turkey in Israel, and they became Turkish soldiers. When Israel got its independence in 1948, these Turkish soldiers said, "We are not leaving. We're going to join the Israeli army. We're going to be Israelis." So they are Sunni Muslims. They're not Arabs. They're Sunni Muslims, and they're loyal to the state of Israel. But the history, which they will never forget, was the ethnic cleansing of the Tatars, of the Circassians, of the Chechens in South Russia. So today, all Sunnis, in their heart of hearts, hate the Russians. And so coming to Syria is to annihilate these Chechen soldiers who are in Syria fighting against Bashar al-Assad before they graduate and then go back to Russia to fight the Russian army back in Russian territory.
Complicated, extremely complicated.
They want to meet the enemy head on in Syria and not wait for them to come back to Russia.
And yet in the attenuated descriptions of this that you find in the American news, it's that Russian fighter bombers are coming over, and they are supposedly going up against ISIS in order to support Bashar al-Assad. And it's that simple. That's the way the news presents it.
Right. Now, a very important point is, for example, there is something called the Free Syrian Army. These people are primarily Sunnis. There may be some Shiites, I doubt it, but there may be some Shiites. The army is a secular army based on the principles of the Ba'ath Party, which is a socialist, Nazi, communist type party.
Yeah.
They're not fanatic Muslims. The Free Syrian Army is supposedly that moderate group that the U.S. wants to support to overthrow Bashar al-Assad. The problem arises with Jabhat al-Nusra, which is another group, ISIS, and Al-Qaeda. And there are 1 or 2 other groups, also fanatic Muslims. And these people hate Russia. They also hate the United States. But the United States, like I said before, is supporting some of these groups, most of these groups, in order to curry favor with Saudi Arabia, which is the paymaster of these fanatic terrorist groups, but on the other hand, is the paymaster for the American economy.
Well, it's complicated, but it's really very simple.
It's all about money.
All about money.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what? I'm going to share something now, which is a bombshell for people who are watching this show. President Obama, and I'm not criticizing him, I'm just saying that this whole deal with Iran, people are wondering, is he Shiite, is he Sunni, or pro-Shiite or pro-Sunni? Why is he giving the Iranians such favorable conditions? And a very important point is that, I don't know if you know this or not, but as part of the agreement with Iran about the nuclear project in Iran, Articles 74 and 75, that's a very long agreement. Articles 74 and 75, America gives Iran hydrogen bomb technology. So this is all about weaponries and it's all about money. And all of a sudden, you notice, of course, the price of gasoline has dropped remarkably.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I was shocked to see here in Oklahoma City $1.56 for gasoline. I mean, we were up to $3, $4. I mean, there are ships out at sea just waiting to unload their oil. Dozens, maybe hundreds of ships, Iranian and other, and the market is being flooded. It's all about money. The introduction of tens of millions, or let's say at first millions of Muslims into the U.S., will increase the American population, and it'll be good for the economy because the GDP grows. The more population you have, the more the GDP grows. Same with Europe. Europe, Germany, which is the greatest motor of economic power in Europe, is bringing the Muslims because the Germans don't repopulate. They need to bring the Muslims in to restore their numbers of people, young people who will work in the German industry. So the idea is economics.
How powerful will Islam become on a global basis? Because they see themselves in the ascendancy. They see literally the world becoming Islamic. And we talk about various factions. We talk about the Saudis, and we talk about who are Sunnis. You have mentioned also that ISIS is Sunni, and you mentioned all these groups. They seem to be opposed to each other on some level or another. On the other hand, they all have a similar goal, which is the global conquest in the name of Allah.
Right. In other words, ISIS and the fanatic terrorist groups, Al-Qaeda and others, they want to destroy America, destroy the Christian West through the use of the sword, through the use of terrorism. Whereas the Saudis want to use financial increments in taking over the country incrementally, buying out banks, corporations, not using the sword, but by using their money to influence American thinking and encourage or enforce conversion to Islam.
And so you have basically two arms of the same monster, if you will.
Right.
One appears very militant, the other appears scheming, financially savvy, but they're both doing the same thing.
For the glory of Allah.
Wow. This is an astounding truth, particularly if you're a Christian.
Right.
And you see yourself here in America, which has always been considered a Christian nation, and you see yourself on a sinking ship in a way, if you believe their propaganda.
I remember growing up in the United States in the 50s and 60s, I would see these movies like Twilight Zone and other things where there would be, for example, you sell your soul to the devil. You know, you sell your soul, and then things are really going great for a while.
For a while.
Then you go to hell in a handbasket. So America, in order to ensure stable oil supply, stable economics, to improve the economy, to ensure the dollar does not collapse, to ensure the U.S. economy doesn't collapse, is bringing in all this money, all these people from the Middle East. But in the end, if you give up your belief in God, the Bible, and Jesus Christ, America's finished. It goes to hell in the end. You know, I don't know how much time we have, but in just 1 minute, I wanted to say, I was very influenced by Alexis de Tocqueville. And Alexis de Tocqueville said, summarizing, it wasn't he who said it, it was Eisenhower who said it, but summarizing his book, Democracy in America in the 1830s, 1840s, he was saying that America will be the greatest country on earth because the American people are good people and their pulpits are on fire for the Lord. Conversely, when America's pulpits are no longer on fire for the Lord, America loses its preeminence in the world and stops being world power number one. Similarly, the foolishness of the Lord is greater than the wisdom of man. America is considered foolish by the Russians and by the whole world, but America is world power number one precisely because it's foolish in the Lord. Take out the Lord, and America is just foolish, and then America goes to hell. This is the problem, and this is what we have to avoid. And it's one of the reasons why in every church that I go, and I speak in almost every denomination, I'm a Jew who speaks to churches in all denominations, I say a Christian revival is essential to restore the common sense and the wisdom to the American people, wisdom that comes out of the foolishness of the Lord.
And I couldn't agree with you more. Revival is in order. We have a book that we're offering. Avi's latest book, Islamic Rivalry, ISIS and Iran are fighting for the heart of Islamic identity. And delineates what we've been talking about in greater detail than we have time to do. So check our bookstore, prophecywatchers.com, the online bookstore, and you're going to find this book and 6 other books by Avi Lipkin, all of which contain insights that you won't find anywhere else. We've got about a minute and a half here, and I want you to change gears, and I'm going to go through here until I find, there it is, this book, which is called Israel's Bible Bloc. Bible Bloc is the name of a party in the Knesset for which Avi has been battling, fighting the good fight for a long time now, and you have been successful, and I want you to fill our audience in on what's happening to the Bible Bloc party in Israel.
Thank you. In order to form a new political party in Israel, you need 3 things. You need at least 3 clauses of ideology. I provided 8, and it's in this book, Israel's Bible Bloc. Number 2, it's a Judeo-Christian political party with the values of the Old Testament that the Jews and Christians agree upon. Number 2, you need 100 founders' signatures, and those founders will be the Secretariat, the Treasury, and the executive of the party. That's why you don't put up a table on Ben Yehuda Street and just have anybody sign up. These are people you have to know, people who have to know you, love you, be loyal to you, and agree with the principles of the party. We have now reached 100 signatures. Then we need $36,000 to pay our lawyer and the fee for the Knesset registration. We have out of the $26,000. We need another $10,000, which is not a big deal. And our lawyer has said that he will not forego, but he will wait. He will go ahead and register the party, and then I will find a way to pay the remaining amount, $10,000, not a big deal. Then we need, and that's where you can help us, millions of bucks we're going to need for radio, TV, newspapers, salaries, offices. A political party requires an army.
It does. Now, what's the purpose of the Bible Bloc party?
There are a number of purposes. Purpose number 1 is to give Christians also representation in the Knesset. Remember, no taxation without representation.
Oh, yeah.
Christians today are 8% of our population in Israel. They serve in the army, they pay taxes, they vote. They're married to us. 6% of the population is Jewish, married to the 6% which is Christian. So my constituency today is 14% potential. And more, because 3 million Israelis have lived in Western Christian countries and know the benefits and the blessings of a Christian nation, whether it be United States, Canada, England, Western Europe. But I think the underlying reason is I believe in American Judeo-Christian Western civilization, or at least what it was until the most recent years. And I want to bring this Western civilization to Israel. What we have in Israel today is socialist and communist groups from Russia, Islamic groups from the Middle East, ultra-Orthodox from Eastern Europe, and then we have nationalists, which are basically, I'm a nationalist myself, a religious nationalist, but there is no Judeo-Christian Western civilization party in the Knesset yet. And this is going to be a 2,000-year dream of Jews and Christians marching together in the land of Israel for the defense of God, the defense of the Bible, and the defense of all the values that Jews and Christians believe in.
Well, Avi, I have to tell you that we here at Prophecy Watchers and thousands of others, Christians in America, are pro-Israel.
Amen.
And we are pro-Israel in precisely the way you're laying it out here. And we wish you luck and every blessing in pulling together the Bible Bloc party. And it's great to hear about it. Good news is always wonderful in light of the things that are happening today.
Either we hang together or we hang separately.
Amen. And you know, the world is a pretty dark place these days. It's nice to hear just a little bit of good news. And the Bible Bloc party in Israel is good news.
Amen.
May the Lord bless you and yours.
And God save America.
And this has been an amazing encounter for me. I've talked with Avi a lot, and you'll be hearing more from him later. So you just keep it right here at Prophecy Watchers, and we're going to share news from Israel. And Avi Lipkin is going to be a big part of that in days to come. I'm Gary Stearman. You keep watching. We're watching. Thanks for joining us on Prophecy Watchers. You can find us on the web at prophecywatchers.com, where you can sign up for our free email newsletter, or follow us at facebook.com/prophecywatchers. In the meantime, keep watching, everybody, and we'll see you soon.